Hello everyone, welcome to CyberScoop TV. Greg Otto, your editor-in-chief here. We're coming to you from the floor of the 2019 RSA conference, and I'm talking with Dave Vitale, Chief Technical Security Officer for Cyxtera and Immunity. Dave, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So Dave, you're a man of many opinions. Let's get into some of the stuff that's been hot as of late. Vulnerability disclosure is still being talked about. Talk to me around the conversations that you're seeing when it comes to coordinated disclosure and what companies are doing well and what aren't they doing well, because I feel like just recently there was a story about password managers and what they were doing with regards to the bugs that they were getting. Some companies didn't really react well, other companies were pretty in line and were pretty happy with the way that things were going. So talk to me a little bit about what you're seeing when it comes to coordinated disclosure.
I think one of the funny things about the password manager vulnerability in particular is that everyone uses the same terrible password on every website. That's the other option. And it's true also for like corporations, right? So we did a big phishing exercise at Cyxtera, and when people fail, like people who normally would be doing vulnerability research still fail those things, then it's surprising because they probably use the same password on their like email at home, on their various websites that store their shopping, and it's sort of like you have to get over the password. So what I like to tell people is, it doesn't matter if random vulnerabilities occur in your password manager, because passwords shouldn't be important in the first place. And that's what you find with all vulnerability disclosure, is the vulnerabilities should not be important. And when they are important, it means you screwed something up. And so I like to point to Active Directory. Here's the thing. We know Active Directory is too complex for human beings to manage. It can't be done, and I think when you see things like Maersk doing like a $400 million write-off for NotPetya, which people blame Eternal Blue for, but is realistically about Active Directory, because that's how it traversed throughout the network. That's where I see way too many focus on vulnerabilities and not enough on classes of risk, essentially, right? Active Directory is a class of risk. What are we going to do with the next Meltdown Inspector? Do we have a handle on any of that? No, we have no way of dealing with the next one, right? So I think this is the thing. We're focused on vulnerabilities because vulnerabilities are a marketing nightmare for big software companies. And so they're putting marketing money on it. But from a business risk perspective, we need to look more at our central technical debt and our classical risk exercises. How do we classify data? Where do we store it? Where are we leaving ourselves open to attack surfaces? And so that's sort of a different kind of perspective that's more in our security nature and less about the drama of the day.
What more do you think security researchers could do when they're reaching out to companies? Do you think that they should have a different way of reaching out, or how do you see the way that security researchers are interacting with these companies?
I think companies are lucky that security researchers reach out to them at all, given the level of legal and just reputational risk they face. Most companies are still really bad at it. They sort of like still will like be a bit threatening. Like Microsoft is super good now, but most companies are like several orders of magnitude worse. And I think that, I mean, there's still companies out there who will sue you as their first method of communication. I think that what should researchers do? I mean, they're kind of doing everything they can. A lot of them are very young and just like, it's weird how we expect them to be amazing at like talking to a big company when they're like 22 and still like living at home. So I don't know why that is, but that's what we expect out of them.
So shifting gears, we've seen recently reports about the way that Cyber Command is sort of defending forward, I believe is the term, and we've seen the reports about what they did to the Internet Research Agency around the 2018 midterms. Do you think that this is a smart strategy for the way that we're utilizing Cyber Command now?
I think it's funny that we make such a big deal about we feel like we map everything to sort of a geographical map in our heads on the internet, when realistically it's more about information flows. And they were in fact pretty relaxed when they hit the Internet Research Agency, right? So from the reports, they like dropped a couple machines, they erased a couple hard drives, which is very restrained effort. They could have done a lot of things, and they've certainly done a lot less than the Russians have done to us. Like if you asked me, I'd say they were way too restrained and they should have just removed the whole organization like with a Brillo pad, right? Like, so I don't know why they didn't. And I think sometimes we're very reluctant to send a message because we are such a big power and we don't want to go too far too fast. But I mean, we've always defended forwards in a sense. That's the only way to defend.
Right.
We're lucky that we have two giant oceans on each side, or else we'd have to buffer other places. But you can see us buffering forward in every military sphere. The internet's no different. The pendulum definitely shifted. So in the Obama years, the pendulum was very defensive. And I think maybe as a country, we've realized that's a big mistake. And so now the pendulum's shifting a little bit. I don't think it's gone as far as it's going to go. I don't think indictments are the limit to our power. I don't think doing occasional efforts that Cybercom's done is really where the limit is. The limit needs to be much more aggressive. And the question is, what will other countries do in response?
So those indictments, let's talk about that for a minute. I'd love to get your opinion on whether you think that that is a good strategy in and of itself, because like we've seen with North Korea, for instance. North Korea, we've seen some indictments there, but they've not come out and said it, but do we really expect North Korea to stop anything that they're doing? We've seen it with China with APT-10, and we've seen it with some other cyber criminals as well being indicted and then eventually extradited. So where does the strategy lie here? Where do you think that there are holes and where are the good things?
I really hate the indictments as a national strategy. I think they're a terrible idea.
Okay.
And I think they're a terrible idea for a number of reasons. The people that you could affect with an indictment should really be recruited instead of sort of forced away from us.
Okay.
Right? So like, there were a bunch of people in the initial Russian thing that were sort of like bottom contractors.
Okay.
And we have a choice. We can either say, we're going to tell, as America, we're going to tell everybody what we know about this person and all of our signals intelligence, which is risking, it's an equities question, but it's not necessarily a good one. Or we can have an indictment where we're not really going to tell a whole lot of stuff, but then no one will believe us. Right? So a lot of the bottom level contractors, we should have just recruited them. Give them money, have them move here. It's not that hard. We have whole teams on this problem. And when we indict North Koreans, I mean, honestly, if I was a North Korean, I would print it out and put it on my wall. Right?
Okay.
But then the return effort of like, what happens when an American former agency official travels overseas? What is America going to do if they get picked up by the Chinese? Let's say they go to China. They want to have a vacation in China. It's 10 years later. What are we planning to do if they get picked up? Do we have a guarantee? Not really.
Right.
Right? So sanctions, some of these things that we've tried to use are really in place of a coherent national strategy instead of the Lego blocks that you would build a coherent national strategy out of.
Okay. So, give you a chance to plug what you've been doing lately. Talk to me about what Immunity has done since becoming part of 6TERRA and where you see it moving forward.
Well, 6TERRA is a secure infrastructure company.
Right.
Which means a lot of things for a lot of people, right? Everyone's an infrastructure company once they reach a certain scale.
Okay.
But we now have the ability to reach down and look at and all the things that a hosting company provide and secure that, and then all the way up to what our customers, especially the big ones, need to do with their data and secure that. So frankly, it's just been an exciting opportunity to like make a bigger difference than you can as like a 40-person company operating out of an office that you're paying for, right? That's the difference.
Great. Dave, really appreciate you hopping aboard with us. Appreciate your insight.
No, definitely. Anytime, man. Thank you so much.
For all of our videos, check out our YouTube channel. And for more information on RSA and all things cybersecurity, check out cyberscoop.com. I'm Greg Otto. Thanks for watching.